I've been. Oh my.
Where'd the other one go?
Fled.
Submerged.
That one.
No, it's still going after it.
Oh my god.
They looked like dinosaurs when they were fighting.
You recorded it, Omi?
I was recording like the second half after, like when the one was like holding the other one by the neck.
Like I heard a rip.
That was crazy.
So we're here at one of the parks in Michigan, and we're doing some fishing. So taking a break from our game hunting road trip. But since this was our end goal destination, being Michigan, why not, while we're up here, visit some of the parks and do some fishing, since my kids have never gone fishing before. This is their first time ever doing something like this. Not my first time, but I'm happy to take them, especially since one of my daughters loves to be outdoors and she wants to hook worms and fish for bass. So that's what we're doing, and hopefully we catch something today. We've been to a couple places and we haven't caught anything yet, haven't had any luck, but it's been fun either way, and we're having a good time doing this. Tomorrow hopefully we go to Traverse City and get to experience the northern part of Michigan. And then Friday we're going to be going to one of the water parks, which is one of the largest water parks in the United States. So I'm happy to be able to take my kids over there. On our way back down, we're going to be hitting some more game shops as we go through different states that we weren't able to go through on our way up. So it really just depends on what time we get to each spot, because we have to be back down in Florida by the 29th, the latest. So the 28th we should be in Georgia and meeting up with some other friends of mine, other content creators that I've gotten to know for a very long time at this point. So back in Saginaw, we're going to Media Reload. What's special about this one?
I don't know. This is my first time being here since they opened. So.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
When did they open?
2018, I believe.
Okay. They have a VR arcade though.
Yeah.
Have you done that?
Seems pretty cool. No, I haven't.
I haven't done any VR in a long time.
Last time I was here, there was barely anything here because they had just opened. So. Okay.
So this will be kind of new for you too.
Yep. I'm excited to check it out.
Okay. Have you played Ender Lilies?
I have not.
It is such a beautiful game. So good. I was so excited that the sequel released for that.
Where are you from?
I'm from Florida.
Okay.
They live here.
Yeah, we live. Yeah.
Your guys' aesthetics guy for a little while.
What's that?
So that was your guys' aesthetics guy for a little while.
Oh, nice.
Hi. He's happy now that he's out of his bottle.
Oh, he woke up?
Yeah, he's awake. He's awake and he's wide awake and ready to party. Right, Peggy?
Sonic 3D Blast complete.
Look at his ankle. Look at his ankle.
Comic Zone. Sonic CD.
Sonic the Hedgehog is one of my favorite video game characters, mainly because he was one of the first video games that I ever played, and he has such a strong and interesting backstory and legacy as well. He finds his humble beginnings all the way back on the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive, all the way back in the year 1991. He was developed by Team Sonic and published by Sega, and you are playing as the famous Blue Hedgehog, and his ability is basically he can run really fast. The goal of the game is to beat Dr. Robotnik and stop him from getting the Chaos Emeralds, And this game is critically praised for its visuals, audio, and overall gameplay. Like, Sega was really happy with the first Sonic the Hedgehog, so happy that in the following year, in 1992, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was released. And that one is also critically acclaimed as well for the exact same reason as the first one is, for audio, visual, as well as gameplay, and I couldn't agree more. I personally really love the first Sonic, that's the one I have the most experience with, but I also do love Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I feel like they definitely built on all of the things that were great about the first Sonic the Hedgehog. The first Sonic the Hedgehog sold over 30 million units worldwide and sold 1.5 million units in the US market alone. Specifically, the bundling systems, that's where you get the not for resale one, which is a lot of the copies that you'll see, especially when you're game hunting, you'll see a lot of not for resale Sonic the Hedgehogs. It means that those were bundled with the Sega Genesis. And now you know. Now, the reason why Sonic was created was to specifically compete against Mario. They wanted to make sure that there was a mascot for Sega, and they wanted Sonic to be it. And well, for a while, yeah, Sonic was the mascot for Sega. Sega actually sunk a ton of money into advertisement into the early 90s, specifically because they wanted to compete against Nintendo. This is where we get Sega does what Nintendo, that awesome saying.
Genesis does
16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis does.
Get Joe Montana free, Pat Riley free, Buster Douglas free, Super Monaco GP free, or Columns free. What Nintendon't? Buy a 16-bit Genesis system between now and October 31st and get an extra game.
Now, the reason for this campaign was trying to bring the arcade-like experience home. That was what Sega was really trying to drive home with this campaign. And well, yeah, we have that really cool saying, but the campaign itself, it didn't really do any well. In fact, Nintendo outsold Sega in the US market, like, really, like, it was just a really poor campaign. This campaign also did help establish Sonic as a household name, specifically in the home console market. So this does really have kind of a good ending in the long run, specifically for Sonic at least. What kind of noises is that? Sonic's original name was going to be Mr. Needlemouse, and he was going to be a blue bunny with a bow tie and red shoes. Also, his shoes are a reference to Santa Claus and Michael Jackson, which is also interesting, speaking of Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson actually worked on the third Sonic the Hedgehog game. He did a lot of the music in it, although he goes uncredited for a good chunk of it. There are a couple of different reasons why he was uncredited. A couple of it was there was some back and forth between him and Sega. There was some disagreements, and he ultimately left the project. Another one source said that the reason why Michael Jackson isn't credited on Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for anything is because Michael really wasn't pleased with the overall sound chip that was used in the Genesis, and he felt that the sound wasn't how it wanted to be. Like, he wasn't pleased with it, and he didn't want his name on it, but yeah, he did work on Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which is kind of interesting because he inspired Sonic. Also, Michael Jackson was like pretty big into games too, so that's kind of cool. Sonic was also going to have a blonde-haired girlfriend named Madonna, which I thought was really interesting. Oh, Sonic can't swim, ever. And the reason for that is actually really funny. The developers, Team Sonic, they didn't know that hedgehogs could swim. They thought that real hedgehogs couldn't swim, and it ends up they're actually really good swimmers in real life, so that's not true. Perfect Chaos is a straight-up ripoff of the kaiju Bylanta from Godzilla. Like, if you put the two of them next to each other, you're like, alright, that's Bylanta. Also, Sonic is in the Guinness Book of World Records for the fastest video game character, which makes sense. I mean, he says gotta go fast all the time, so I mean, like, whatever. Sonic's very first appearance is in an arcade game called Rad Mobile. If you look in, it's a driving game, so if you look in like the rear view mirror, you'll see just a little tiny Sonic hanging there, just dangling. He's so cute. Sonic the Hedgehog was also the first video game character to have a Macy's Day Thanksgiving Day Sonic was also the first video game character to Sonic is also the very first video game character to ever be featured as a balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I don't know why that sentence was so hard for me to say. Sonic's favorite food is chili dogs, and he loves cola, which is interesting because I mentioned that he has Sonic restaurants. They're all hot dog restaurants, and most of them serve chili dogs. I think they'll all serve chili dogs, and they look pretty good. So if you are by a Sonic, actual Sonic, not the chain restaurant, let me know how the chili dogs are. I forgot what I was gonna say. I closed my book on the page. Okay, here we go. The Emerald Zone is where Sonic grew up, and that's his homeland. So yeah, isn't that cool? I really love Sonic the Hedgehog. He is one of my favorite video game characters. Like I said, he was one of the first video games that I ever played. So I really do understand why a lot of people love Sonic the Hedgehog. It's just so funny, the legacy between Nintendo, Mario, Sonic, and Sega, and how there was a campaign war between the two, and now they're in games together like it's nothing. It's just really cool to see how gaming changes over time. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think. And I'm gonna give it back to you guys over there, so bye. Hey guys, Harley here, and I wanted to take a moment to talk about our sponsors over at Roots, specifically their Zero In products. I really do love all of the products they send me, but I really like Zero In because, yes, this is an energy pill, and it has a ton of vitamin D, which I am so lacking in. This has no crash, and I don't really feel bad after consuming it. Some energy drinks, they kind of give you like the jitters and stuff. Does not happen here. So I know if I'm gonna have a long day of researching or editing or shooting, I'm definitely gonna take one of these, and it definitely gets me through the day, the night, whatever is happening in my life. So I highly recommend that you check them out. We are so grateful for them. And yeah, I really do like their products. Let us know what you think if you do try it, because I'm curious what you guys think.
They have good stuff here.
He was looking at me, what the heck? He had more of a reaction for Charizard though.
Shining Force Sega CD. Persona 4 Golden.
Looking at your friend's papa?
Siren.
Oh, Soul Reaver. I got that game earlier this year, I think.
I have Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
It's a good game.
Steambot Chronicles. Oh, that's a demo disc. So they have a VR setup where you can play VR games. That is really cool. I get VR sick, so I can't really do it. Oh, they have comic books.
And albums. Vinyl albums. That's cool. I'm gonna look at the vinyl because I actually have a record player. So.
Look at the vinyl of your crush over there.
Are you really gonna record?
I am recording. It's a vinyl of your crush, Shakira. Right? Kirby's Adventure. That's a nice copy too.
So it is the pink sphere from Nintendo that you want to talk about. Absolutely, I would love to talk about Kirby. Kirby finds his humble beginnings all the way back on the Game Boy in the year 1992. All of the games developed by HAL Laboratory and published by Nintendo, which is kind of weird, especially with a game franchise that's been around for over 33 years. It's also kind of weird and amazing to see it has the same developer. So that's awesome. Kirby's main ability is to spit and swallow, and I'm gonna try not to laugh like a 14-year-old boy. Depending on what you do will determine your ability. Kirby has has a ton of other abilities as well, such as running, jumping, and flying. He's been featured in over 50 different games, from platformers to puzzles, as well as racing games. They even have their own anime and manga. Kirby hails from the planet Popstar, which is a yellow star, and his territory that he hangs out in Dreamland. So that's why all the games are Dreamland related, because that's where he likes to hang out. Kirby's gender is entirely unknown, although in the very first game in the English manual it refers to Kirby as a little boy. That was a mix-up with the Japanese translation for a word youngster. So Kirby is genderless, and even the creators have said, no, Kirby doesn't have a gender. One of the executive directors that worked on an executive director that worked on a Kirby game said that when Kirby swallows enemies, they don't actually die. They'll just disappear and show up on another part of the world. And he even said that they can do that because it's a fantasy game. And he's not wrong. Kirby is exactly 20 centimeters tall, or about 8 inches. The origin for Kirby's name is unknown. The creator doesn't really know where he got the name from, although there's a couple different theories. If Kirby's named after the Kirby Company, which is a vacuum company, because Kirby sucks, but that's not really, there's no proof of that. The other theory, which the theory that's probably true, is that he's named after John Kirby, who was the lawyer for Nintendo vs. King Kong. And Nintendo really loved John Kirby, so it really wouldn't be a surprise, but there's no confirmation for that either. Kirby's original name was going to be Twinkle Popo, but Nintendo shot that down. They thought that the American market wouldn't like it, and they're 100% correct. I would have destroyed Kirby for having that name. I would have laughed so hard at that name all the time, so thank goodness they stayed with Kirby. Although we know Kirby as the iconic pink ball that he wasn't always that way. In fact, on the very first game, there was some confusion over his color, especially because with the monochrome of the Game Boy, but they definitely made sure to fix that in the second Kirby game that was released on the NES. However, Shigeru Miyamoto actually did want Kirby to be yellow, and that's why when you play with 2 Kirbys in later iterations of Kirby games, the second Kirby will be yellow. So it's because of that. It's a reference to that. The other reason why they didn't make Kirby yellow was they didn't want any confusion between another circular creature that likes to swallow stuff, which would be Pac-Man. So they didn't want any confusion between Pac-Man either, and that's why they made Kirby pink. However, because of the monochrome screen, there was some confusion with Kirby's color, and that is why on the American box art, Kirby's white. So yeah, it's just some confusion with that. Like I said, the confusion was definitely cleared up when Kirby's Adventure was released on the NES, and this game is definitely praised for its tight controls. A lot of people really love this game. In fact, if you have any kind of virtual NES, you're definitely going to have Kirby's Adventure on there. This is a very well-beloved game. In 2002, the very first Kirby game was re-released on the Game Boy Advanced, and it was Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland, and it added some additional gameplay and also multiplayer, so they really did buff up the game a lot. Kirby's age is still unknown, and he also doesn't know how to read. Me too, Kirby, me too. His texture is in between a cake pop and a stress ball, and he also cares about 3 things, which is protecting his homeland, protecting his friends and family, and protecting food, or food in general. Kirby loves food. Am I Kirby? Also, in the Wii game, there is in like a gallery a reference to Obama. I don't know why that matters, but that was like one of the things that just kept coming up every time I was looking up stuff about Kirby. So many people were obsessed with the fact that Obama was in Kirby, and he wasn't even in Kirby. It was just mentioning that Barack Obama was president, but for whatever reason people are like really obsessed. People are obsessed with that. I don't know why. I also learned that the North American anime for Kirby was done by 4Kids Animation, and if you know anything about 4Kids Animation, that's absolute garbage. So if you do want to watch the anime, I would recommend watching the Japanese one. I don't even have to watch this one to tell you that the 4Kids one's terrible. All you have to do is look at the One Piece 4Kids one and just listen to how Sanji is voiced. It's absolutely horrible, and the opening is absolutely hilarious. So if you want a good laugh, look at the 4Kids One Piece. Just any of it. It's absolute its ass. Anyway, back to Kirby. Personally, my favorite Kirby game is Kirby Crystal Shards. The first time I played it was actually on my cell phone all the way back in the year 2012. I emulated it on my phone, and I actually beat the majority of the game on my phone. This was before I was actually like retro collecting. Although I've been collecting my whole life, I didn't actually start picking up the stuff and saving all of it till like years later, and I started my humble beginnings emulating. And one of the first games I emulated was Kirby, and I really do like Kirby. He is such a goofy and fun character, so I definitely get why people love the franchise. Yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah. Like I said, Kirby is an absolute blast of a character. He's goofy, adorable, and just so fun to play. I have never not played a Kirby game that I haven't enjoyed. They all generally have been received very well by critics and fans alike, and I definitely would love to see a new Kirby game on a console that is affordable, as well as affordable games, but that's a discussion for another day.
Mario RPG, Super Metroid.
Yep. That poor label.
That one, yeah. But that's a nice label on that Super Metroid. Same thing for the Star Fox.
Yeah. All those Super Nintendo games except for that one were really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
That Zelda Monopoly forever.
Or do tell them.
I mean, that's really cool though.
Hey Glenn, one of our friends, his whole basement is decked out in Star Wars stuff. We got him a Millennium Falcon cutting board as a wedding present.
See, my obsession is Stitch.
Oh yeah, Stitch.
So I'm obsessed with anything original Stitch, even if you got me the smallest thing with